Well, hello and welcome to this month's live stream. It's July. We've been through half the year now, and so I thought it would be a great time to take stock and take a look at what we've learned about artificial intelligence in the last year. For those of you who are regulars, and just at least one regular on the stream, this is my year of artificial intelligence and project management. That's my theme for the year. Already starting to think about possible themes for next year. But we've got a half a year to go, and I've got some more content lined up for you on artificial intelligence. Although I'd be very keen to know what you are interested in. What is it that really you want me to do content about in the world of artificial intelligence and project management? Whether there's people you want me to try to interview, whether there's information you want me to find out and present to you in an interesting and easily accessible manner. I think my kind of niche in the project management YouTube world is about taking complex ideas and making them easy for people to understand. And I know I get a lot of feedback from all over the world, from students who are sitting exams of one sort or another, that they find my content really easy to understand, really helps them. And I think Abdul's already said on this stream that he finds that useful. So we've got a good stream for you today. I've been thinking very carefully about the question, are we safe? Those of you who have seen my content before will know I am not going to give a yes or no answer, not because I am frightened to pin my colours to the mast and say what I think. I'm never frightened to do that. And again, anyone who knows me will know that I say it as I see it. But I think this is too simplistic an answer, yes or no, to a very complex, very subtle question with many moving parts. And so I have a presentation for you that I hope to unpack. But first, I thought as people kind of roll in, hopefully there are people rolling in. Looking at my data there seems to suggest there's about 10 people watching at the moment. First of all, if you haven't said hello in the chat, please do. It's by no means necessary. You're welcome to lurk, to hang out, whatever. But it's nice to know who we've got on the stream. EDR group from San Antonio in Texas. So we've also got someone from Afghanistan. We've got someone from the UK. So that's 3 continents. I like to count continents. I'm hoping one day someone will say, yes, I am watching from the British Antarctic Survey, and I'm in Antarctica, and I'll get my 7th continent. We've definitely got someone else from Asia or Indonesia, possibly Oceania. I'm not quite sure. I have a feeling the plate boundary between Oceania and Asia runs slightly to the south of Indonesia, so I think Indonesia is Asia. So welcome, Yuzdi, if I've said your name right. I hope I have. Anyway, I thought while people are popping in, I would start a new thing, because occasionally I get new books. And we've got someone from the USA. Brilliant. So Deep State is in the USA. So I thought I'd start a new thing. I occasionally get sent new books. I occasionally buy new books. So I thought I'd just flash them up. I have read none of these except possibly the last one. But the first one is a book I bought with my own money, The Smart Mission. I was promised that this is a really good book by a couple of people on LinkedIn. And I am absolutely fascinated by the way that NASA does project management. Years ago, I researched a talk called Faster, Better, Cheaper, Is It Possible? Or something like that for a conference, and looked at the way that NASA ran their Faster, Better, Cheaper program and used it as a way to talk about the time, cost, quality triangle, what is in the US known as the iron triangle, what I prefer to call a triangle of balance, or actually even better still, the triple constraint. Not read this, but I'm really looking forward to reading this. It's not a long book. It's called The Smart Mission, and it's by Edward J. Hoffman, Matthew Kohut, and Lawrence Prusak. Secondly, I got sent this book by Dr. Will Braylick called What You Don't Know. Successfully lead a software project without tech expertise. And the reason Will sent me this is because he asked my permission to use a diagram in here, which I'm going to fail to find now, that he found on my website that I developed to talk about, and there's a video, by the way, can't remember where it is, but it is on the YouTube channel, And there's a video about this, about the different types of unknowns and different types of uncertainty. There you are. There's my image that he's reproduced with my permission. The idea that we've got probabilistic risks, which are known knowns. Then we've got known unknowns, gaps in our knowledge that we're aware of, technically known as epistemological risks. And then we've got ontological risks, which are unknown unknowns, things that we just don't know about, don't know, as far as we're concerned, can't possibly happen. And then we've got hidden knowledge, unknown knowns, things we know but we don't know we know, that are locked up in people's brains. And so that's a book that I got sent. Secondly, a book I got given. So some of you may have seen the session I did. Oh, hi, Patrick's on the stream. Welcome, Patrick, in the US. Some of you will have seen the stream I did about 3 weeks ago, following the Association for Project Management conference I went to, Changes. One of the people I met there was the folk from Progio, which is project management and program and portfolio management software tool, and I got talking with them. Fantastic people. So if you're looking for high-end project management software, do have a look at Progio, see if that might fit you. Talk to them. Hopefully we may be able to collaborate at some point. But they gave me this book by the founder and CEO of Progio, and it's called Time to Deliver, an innovative new project management approach revealed. Again, haven't read it, can't recommend it, but I did have a flick through it, and it looks to me that there is some flavour of critical chain thinking in that. So that's another one. Then I was at a second-hand bookshop a week ago. I haven't had a chance to read it, which is a shame, because if I had more time, I would have read this before this stream, because it's called Life 3.0, Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence, by one of the leaders in the field, Max Tegmark. And Max Tegmark's name will come up again later in this, but it's 2017, so possibly completely out of date. But I think a lot of this is kind of thinking, big picture thinking, rather than small picture of what's happening, the immediate technology, but about where the technology is going. And it looks like he's spreading his insights far and wide. I mean, we've got a picture here of the Big Bang and how the universe will end. So this, I think, goes a lot further than ChatGPT wasn't a twinkle in its founder's eye back in 2017. And I know this. Actually, I don't know this is published in 2017. I know it was published before 2017, because it says Merry Christmas. It's a second-hand book. It says Merry Christmas, Pops. And it's dated December 2017, the inscription. But the book was published. Oh, it was published in 2017, so it was a new book when given. The only book I have read that I'm going to feature here, as many of you know, a good few years ago, I wrote Risk Happens, and the risk that happened was that the publisher decided to stop publishing non-fiction paperbacks globally. And so about a year after this came out, they withdrew stocks from all bookshops. And so it wasn't available for a period of time, except second-hand and remaindered stock that some bookshops had, which was very disappointing to me, because it was creeping up to being a bestseller. I negotiated with the publishers, and they gave me back the rights for very sound consideration. And I brought out a Kindle ebook, second edition, which has some extra content in it, brings it slightly more up to date. But lots of people came to me and said, "But we want a paperback. We want a book. We want something we can do." So here it is, second edition of Risk Happens, available from any Amazon store. It's print on demand, but it's about. This arrived today, and it's what triggered this thought that I'd do this. I'll find it in a moment. So let's just see who else is on the stream. We've got we've got Deep State from USA. We've got Patrick, also from USA. Deep State says, "Can we get a shout out for Little Fish?" No idea what Little Fish is, but hi there, Little Fish, whoever you are. Yusdi. Hi, Mike. I'm curious on how expensive it is to introduce AI in construction industry, and what are the considerations regarding the ethical and legal matters in using AI. Right. Okay. We'll talk about some of the ethical matters, not necessarily get into the legal stuff. And remember, with legal stuff, it's always going to depend on where you are in the world, what jurisdiction you're working in. And of course, in construction, big ticket construction, you could be working for a company based in one country, filled with people based in another, working for a company based in a third country, building them something in a fourth country. So the contracts could apply in one jurisdiction, whilst the building can apply in another jurisdiction, whilst the office work can apply in another. So I'm not going to go anywhere near legal matters, except in the most general senses through here. And again, how expensive is it to introduce AI in the construction industry? It depends on what you want your AI to do. There are high-end AI tools starting to appear in the construction industry for planning. I have no idea how much they cost. It's not something I've researched. If I get a demand for that, then maybe I'll try and find a software vendor to talk about the kind of capabilities of that software. But you know what? I did a video last week, which is actually my fastest growing video ever on YouTube, I think, about how to use tools like ChatGPT, Bing, and Bard as a project manager and as a construction manager, or anything really. How to use them as a professional, rather than just say, write me a haiku, or do my homework, or write a note explaining why I'm going to be late for work. Actually using it intelligently. Where I interviewed Andy Kaufman, who's done this brilliant course, which I will give you the details of shortly. And of course, that costs very little to subscribe to these tools. In fact, most of them have free tiers. So it can be anything from a small amount to a vast amount. Some of the big high-end construction software, construction project management software tools are going to be very, very expensive. So it's not a topic I know much about, USD, I'm afraid, but I'm going to say that it depends on what kind of tools you'll be wanting to introduce. But as with all tools, what you want to do is think about what you want to be able to do, what you need to be able to do rather, and what the value is to you, and then find the tools that can do that and not be distracted by all the other bells and whistles they offer. Evaluate their abilities to do the things you need, and how well they do them and how conveniently they do them. Choose the best balance of functionality and quality and specifications and price based on what you need, and then if you have to have a tiebreaker, then look at other things they do. We've got Nicola on from North America, Canada. I'll be on and off working on something in parallel, but I'm listening. Well, that's great to hear. I mean, it's always good to have Nicola on the call, so fantastic. Right, so let's get into the stream itself. Let me show you the presentation we're going to use. You should recognise this image here. The character on the left there is completely artificially intelligent. The character on the right is the human there, or something like that. Yeah, I used, I can't remember which software tool I used. Let me just find out. Yeah, I used ArtSmart to generate the robot there. Put in a load of different prompts. The trick I found, because I think prompt engineering, which is fundamentally what Andy Kaufman's course is about, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. Prompt engineering is a subtle, complex art. And I haven't gained huge amount of skill in prompt engineering for graphics. So what I did was I browsed their website for images that kind of look the sort of thing that I wanted, but maybe not a robot, but the sort of style. And then I just changed an element of the prompt. And so that's how I got that robot. So in the construction industry, if you need a picture of something, then that's free to do. Oh, actually, this piece of software I paid for, but there are, again, free versions. There's free use. You can use DALL-E for free. You can use Midjourney for free. So you can do these things. Great. We've got Stuart, the influential PMO. Fantastic YouTube channel. In fact, all credit to Stuart, because although I've been kind of promoting Andy Kaufman's course, and Andy did a fantastic interview for me, I got the idea to do that when I saw Stuart interviewing Andy, and Andy's an old friend, and I phoned him up and said, Andy, I want to sell your product too. It looks really good. So he kindly sent me one, and having done the course, I basically said, yeah, I'm definitely going to promote that. It's really good. So thank you, Stuart. And Stuart's got a video out today, which I haven't had a chance to look at, where for those of you who might be following Stuart, he's actually doing a live project week by week. He's making videos about how his project is moving forward as a way of illustrating elements of project management. And we're on risk management today. Having had a conversation with Stuart recently offline, I suspect I know what some of the risks are going to be, but I'm looking forward to seeing that video later in the week. And we've got Michael Finn, whose channel has some fantastic wildlife stuff on there. He's a friend. He's not a colleague. He's not a project management, but it's nice to see you here, Michael. So good to that. And Michael says, by the way, what time tomorrow? That's a YouTubers kind of get together, which Michael and I are both part of. And it's the usual time, Michael. It's 5 p.m. Your time and mine. And Ian says, what is the status of intellectual property rights for information generated by AI? I think the only word I can use for that, I'm going to go full screen on this. The only word I can use for that, Ian, is murky. Interestingly, I'm going to be talking about the letter. Some of you will know that there was it was in the news back 3 months ago. This open letter to the AI developers saying you need to pause for 6 months. Gosh, we're halfway through that period now. March 22 this is dated. I noticed when I was rereading the letter and taking a careful look at it in advance of today, that one of the signatories is it Getty? I think it's Getty Photos, the CEO of Getty Photos. And of course, all the photo stock libraries are up in arms because they think their photos have been gone into the training sets for these visual generating softwares, which of course means, and artists have as well, and so we don't know what the copyright situation is. And as I said above, I think it was to Abdul around the question of no, it was to Yuzdi, wasn't it? The ethical and legal matters on construction industry AI. The legal situation will depend on jurisdiction, and that's the problem. These things are all over the world, covering pretty much every jurisdiction, whereas somewhere like Getty Photos is based in one place, but it's got photographers from all over the world. My goodness, this is going to be a mess. So what is the status of intellectual property rights for information generated by AI? The answer I would have to give is ask your lawyer. If you're in the UK, your solicitor. But your lawyer won't know. Your lawyer will give you some variation on the answer. The law is lagging behind. And there's a great story I heard, which is relevant, about the development of law and regulation around motor cars. When motor cars first came in, there were accidents. And the first thing the motor car manufacturers did was blame the pedestrians. And then it became clear that it wasn't the pedestrians' fault, but they couldn't blame the drivers because the drivers were their customers. And they couldn't blame the cars because the cars were their products. And that was about 20 years before regulators started to say, you know what, you need brake lights. You know what, you need to check that the brakes work. You know what, you need to test. And it took about 20 years before regulators started to build regulation around the motor industry to make it safe. And of course, different jurisdictions, different paces. I mean, UK had compulsory seatbelts front and back years before the US, for example. We are only really now starting to see a big push for regulation of the internet in this country, in the UK and around the world. So we might be 20 years away from regulation of AI, but again, I will come to that. So I'm gonna kind of dive in. Do keep asking questions, though. I love taking questions, and if I spot them, I will either answer them or I will put them off for a while. So what's our agenda? So as advertised, I always write the agenda based on what I want to know about the topic I'm going to talk about, or what I think you will want to know, and then I research it. I don't kind of think, right, what do I know that I can tell you about? That would be too easy. I wouldn't have to spend 2 days preparing a live stream. So what have we learned about AI this year? I'm going to tackle that in 2 ways. I'm going to talk about the 4 interviews I've done, which are a primary source of new information for me this year, and summarize those 4 interviews for you. But I'll give you links so that you can go watch them in full, because they are all well worth watching. But I will also talk about what has happened in the world of AI, the big picture of that. Then I'm going to try and answer, are our jobs safe? Primarily as project managers, but if you're not a project manager, and I know not everyone on this call is, if you've got a job, this is going to be relevant to you as well, because project management isn't that special. I know we like to think we're special, but I used to be a consultant, and we used to have a joke within consultancy, and every professional practice, whether consultants or lawyers or accountants, whatever, knows that your clients will say, but we're different, and you say, yeah, of course, yeah, you're very different. And back at the office, we know that the broad brush issues they're facing are no different. Then are projects safe? That is something project managers care about, but it's also something strategic and operational managers and business leaders should be worrying about too. And then finally, what I suspect has attracted some people, is humanity safe? And yes, I will give a serious answer to that question, but no, it will not be a yes/no answer. So hang on in there. I'm going to trail the fact that I'm going to promote 3 products at the end of this session. I'm not going to do that now. Firstly, my own product, which I'm going to offer you a discount on, 20% discount. Secondly, Andy Kaufman's Artificial Intelligence Made Simple product, which is a brilliant product, which I have been through every minute of it thoroughly and really enjoyed and interacted with it. And a new product I'm offering, or a suite of products from the US AII, the United States Artificial Intelligence Institute. They have high-end certifications. These are several $100s each, so this is not going to be an impulse buy. But I will give you a discount code so that if you buy through my link, I will make literally only 5%. You will get 10% off. I'm giving you 2/3 of my margin on that as a launch thing. But for people who want to really get in deep into the technology of artificial intelligence and have an idea about moving their career in that direction, these are seriously good courses to consider. I haven't done the courses. In fact, I'm not sure I qualify to do all the courses, but I have reviewed some of the materials. And I can say they are good quality materials. These people who know what they're talking about, but you must evaluate them on your own merit, on their own merits. But come back to that. So this has been my year of artificial intelligence wrong button. This will be my year of artificial intelligence and project management. These are the videos that and content I put out to date. So I did the first kickoff webinar to test the water back in November 2022. There was an appetite, and so I've made this the year. I also did a live stream again in February 22. It says February 22. It should say February 23. Oops. I did a live stream about an old idea, technology quotient, and the idea of digital literacy, talking about the importance of getting on board with this stuff. And then there was I started doing interviews. So Lloyd Skinner, CEO of Greyfly.ai, talking about prediction software. Nicholas Dacre, an academic at Southampton University, coincidentally near me, but I chose to interview him, or I sought to interview him, because he was the lead author on an APM, Association for Project Management, report on project management and artificial intelligence. I did a video in April on it wasn't. No, it was an article. It was a long-form article on the website, how AI knowledge can help your project management career. So this is starting to look about why we should engage. And then I did a video in my usual sort of style, what is artificial intelligence, just explaining what this is. And then I did another one on project management transformation and transforming yourself as a project manager. I then spoke to Stuart Easton, in May, published that video. Stuart runs a company called Transparent Choice, which is about project decision making, and he's incorporating AI into his software. By the way, all of this content, all these videos, those are the dates they went live on YouTube. They were available in my briefing pack, which I'll be promoting at the end, about 2 to 3 months in advance for people. I did a video on how to use machine learning in project management, and then last week did the video on how to use Bard, Bing, and ChatGPT, which features Andy Kaufman. We'll talk more about that. Now we've got this live stream, and coming up in August, but already available for those of you who have bought the briefing kit. What is robotic process automation, RPA? And I also answer the question, what is intelligent automation as well, which is the new thing. So got all that content. What next? Well, a brief summary of what I learned from, and we learned from Dr. Nicholas Dacre, anyone who chose to watch the video. Firstly, he said the biggest difference that AI is making on the project management profession is the basic functionalities sort of things at the moment, the communication, automated chatbots, collaboration. AI is making all that much more effective, but we can expect very soon, and indeed, this is what I learned, particularly from Lloyd Skinner at Greyfly. We can expect estimation tools, planning tools, monitoring tools. And then, beyond that, project management teams will start to include AI-powered software within the team to help the team do its job, which will morph slowly into AI team members. And he predicted that AI will become a component of project diversity. He was also involved in the goal, but he said we need to evaluate enough and we know them enough to trust them. We've got to be objective about what they say, what AI says. But he did say that the early adopters will be winners. AI right now is like the Wild West. It's like there's all to play for. And that's a very similar metaphor to one that we'll see in a moment from Lloyd Skinner. So AI will offer us many, many opportunities. And he said that his tip for project managers is learn to code. It will create a big advantage. And kind of, by the way, if you are thinking learn to code, an easy starting place is Python. Another one that is not quite as relevant, but also relevant is C++. And then there's tools like Java, JavaScript, R, and Julia are good software programming tools, languages to learn. Then, what did I learn from Lloyd Skinner, CEO of Greyfly? Firstly, he said AI can increase project success, and he sees the main benefits as, firstly, automation and therefore the efficiency it creates, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the video, which is coming out in a month's time on robotic process automation, but also prediction and certainty, which is what his software is really all about. And he said AI, what it does is it puts new capabilities into our hands. Like, it's another tool. Just like, when someone invented the hammer, humanity took a big leap forward. When somebody invented the wheel, the lever, all those tools take us forward. And that's what AI is doing. But critically, if we're going to make predictions and we're going to act on the predictions or the recommendations of software, we need to understand where our data comes from and the quality of that data. And over time, it will be better. But at the moment, we need to understand that. But he also said that AI particularly now is good at looking at quantitative data, numerical data. But what's coming very soon, and we get a sense of that from ChatGPT's ability to work with language, is the ability of AI to use qualitative data in making predictions. So, for example, it might be able to look at the CVs of a project team and predict whether that project team is going to be efficient and therefore more or less likely to deliver on time, which is amazing. And the quality of those predictions will improve over time. But say if you're going to implement AI, you need two things. Firstly, you need to have a clear demonstration of return on investment, which is a topic I tackled back in November. And my first AI webinar live stream like this one, because we don't yet have the data to know what the return on investment is going to be, and therefore it also needs strong sponsorship, because you have to kind of take to a degree, you have to, organisations are going to make big changes. And he said we're at the beginning of a gold rush, because it's the Wild West, and that means there will be changes, and there will be changes in job roles. He didn't say job roles will go, there will be changes in job roles. Currently, AI, and for the foreseeable future, AI augments humans. It adds to our capability, it doesn't replace us. And the third of my conversations with Stuart Easton, who is the CEO of Transparent Choice, which is a decision-making software tool. And by now, I expect he has fully incorporated AI into the tool, and it's out there probably in beta. But they were working hard when I spoke to him at the start of the year. And he said that the main decision-making process that they've been focusing on is aligning portfolios with strategy, and that's a hard problem, because with all the different portfolio elements you could choose and all the constraints that your organization does have, finding the optimum portfolio is a multivariate, multi-dimensional problem. I mean, as a physicist myself, I kind of see this as like a massive problem in Hilbert space optimization, and looking for minima in Hilbert space. Basically, you're looking for a minimum in multivariate, multi-dimensional space. It's fiendishly difficult for computers to do, but AI is the right kind of computing technology to do that. And he said the other kinds of decisions that AI can help with, and these are really important kind of decisions for us as project managers, are things like resource allocation and resource leveling, and selection of vendors and selection of technology. Comparing the pros and cons is another multivariate, multi-dimensional landscape to optimize on. So this is really exciting to me. He also talked about the divide between what artificial intelligence and what I call human intelligence can and do. Artificial intelligence is really good at pattern recognition. It's good at computation, automation, data analysis. We know that. Humans are really good at applying values frameworks. But if you reverse it, we can do some pattern recognition, particularly visually and auditorily. But by and large, our pattern recognition skills are limited by the amount of data we can manage. We are crap at automation and computation. People don't like working on production lines. We get bored very easily. So that's the best we can do on automation. And data analysis is, we can do it. It just takes us a lot of time. But we are good at values frameworks, which AI can't yet do, although I discussed with Stuart the possibility that if you could sum up a values framework as a set of rules, AI would be very, very good at applying it. And he raised what I thought was a brilliant idea of having AI board members that look at board decisions from a different perspective to the perspective that other board members do. They don't get seduced by exciting ideas. They look at the cold, hard data. Just noticed a couple of things in the chat. Let's just see what we've got here. Is there a framework that will provide reliable provenance and quality, or a recognised body to approach? Hambo Gumbo says scope. I have a feeling, is that the Anderson thing? I probably need to remind myself, if you can remind us, Hambo, what you mean by scope. But that rings a bell from my earlier research. I think that's a framework that Anderson's came up with. Can I remember it, or can I find my notes on that quickly enough, because it's slipped out of my mind. Possibly not. No, Anderson. It wasn't Anderson. It was Accenture, and it was theirs was Melds. Scope. Stop, clarify, options, proceed, evaluate. Yeah. Okay, that's my framework. I didn't recognise it in that context. Not sure that properly answers or fully answers Ian's question. But yeah, provide reliable provenance and quality. We have a listen to the conversation I had, Ian, with Lloyd, because we did talk about the importance of building data sets and some stuff about that. But I'm not a big expert on that. Project managers need to understand, this is something else that Stuart said, which is really important. But we need to understand the different types of AI and when they're applicable. When do we use natural language processing? When do we use machine learning? When do we use computer vision? When do we use intelligent automation? They're not all the same thing. They all kind of come under this big umbrella term AI. And what we've got, and that's why I go back to why I love Andy Kaufman's course so much, because it tells us how to get real value out of ChatGPT and stop using it as a toy. And so I spoke to Andy and rushed out a video, and the summary, and I'll put the link to his course in the chat if I can find my... and I can't give you a discount on this because it is really very cheap, and I have no mechanism to give you a discount, but it's only $49, and it is absolutely brilliant. What he said on that video is that AI tools are great for preparing first drafts that you can then improve, rather like having a junior assistant or junior colleague. You say, look, I've got this question I need to answer. Go give me your thoughts, and then I will use my experience to top and tail it or correct it if it's wrong, or write it in my language, my voice. So for first drafts of short articles, for responses to... I've never used one yet for a response to a comment on YouTube, but nobody's asked the kind of question that I thought that would be a good thing to try. And it will even fill out project templates. You tell it a little bit about, and this is important, couple down, it says for best results give AI information and context. So you say to the AI, my project is doing this, it's doing that, it's doing the other, it's working for... you give it a load of information and then say, write me a project description or a project definition statement, and it will. Just fill out a project template. Tell me 20 risks I could anticipate on this project and give me your estimate of their likelihood and impact. It won't get it right, but it can do the brainstorming thing for you. It's fantastic. And then when you've got an answer, you ask it something else, or you comment on the answer, and it will refine its answer, and you can have a conversation with it, which was something I never really thought of until I did Andy's course. And he said this will save you time, and it will. It's a tool in your toolkit. It is not a toy for your toy box. That's my tagline there. So that's a brilliant course to do if you started using ChatGPT, or even if you haven't, or Bard or Bing or any of those. I mean, I learned about others from Andy as well, other software tools, one of which I think is actually much better for the things I need. Every time I've done a like-for-like comparison on the 4 tools that I use, ChatGPT, Bard, Poem, Perplexity has always given me the best answers. I love it. So, what have you learned about AI this year? I'm going to throw that open to you. And I know there is a lag. I know that I've got to speak for about 30 seconds before you even hear me ask you the question, what have you learned about AI this year? And then, of course, if you're going to write something in the chat, it's going to take a little while for you to do that. But I am interested to know what you've learned about AI this year. So while we're waiting, I'll come back here and I'll just wibble a little bit about the scope process, because the scope process is a process that I developed for dealing with any difficult challenge. Oh, YouTube is not receiving enough video. What's going on? Oh, stream settings, stream status poor. Hello? Gosh. I hope this is all right. It's frozen. I hope the sound's coming out all right. I'm bouncing around all over the place there. Let me see. I might have to give a shout to my daughter. Oh, my stream health seems to have come back. Right. Hopefully you've had a chance to think about whether there's anything you've learned this year. Nothing's coming up in the chat yet, but I hope it will soon. My phone's going off now. So, Influential PMO had a loss of audio here, mate, hoping it's just me. No, I don't think it is just you, but I do hope that it has resolved itself. Sound is good, says Ian. Good, we're back on. So, as I say, I did ask the question, what have you learned about AI this year? Any answers there? Still there. Sound drops out intermittently, says Hambo. Okay. And remember, you're typing this in, I'm seeing it, and then I'm answering straight away, and then there's a 30-second delay before you hear me. So apologies for all that. So I shall go back to the slide that I had up, which is what have you learned about AI this year? And I will keep an eye on the chat, but I won't kind of bore you if you haven't got anything. If nobody's got anything they want to kind of say, then I'll just wait for a moment and then move on. So, what is the next slide? Let's have a look. Ian says, let's go back a moment. Ian says, I have used ChatGPT to generate scenarios. I'd be interested to know what kind of scenarios they are. But yes, if you can think of a question, it's worth trying ChatGPT for it. It's also one of the things, a friend of mine has a YouTube channel where he teaches coding in Kotlin, or refactoring in Kotlin, to be strict about it, I think, which is a programming language which I don't know much about, but he did a video using an AI tool recently, and discovered that when he did it live on recording the video, the answer he got was rubbish, despite the fact the afternoon before, when he had planned and prepared, he got really good answers from the AI. So my kind of add-on tip is, if you don't get the answer you want, ask the question again. Just start a whole new chat, or as Andy says, have a conversation. That's not the answer I was looking for, and give it some more guidance as to what sort of answer you want. So Ian says to test PM activities, and I think that's really interesting. Cambo, thinking intentionally about large language models, a bit like user stories. Not sure I get the kind of simile there. In what way are large language models like user stories? Be interested to hear a bit more about that. Influential PMO, surprised by Photoshop's generative fill. Very impressive. Yeah, Photoshop has some fantastic AI tools, as does some of the video editors. And I know Stuart uses Premiere Pro. The tool I use doesn't yet have AI. The graphics tools I use don't yet have AI facilities. I use Affinity for photo editing and Final Cut for video editing. Although Final Cut has some quite impressive voice noise removal software and stuff like that. But you've also got tools like DALL-E, which I think can now do generative fill as well. Patrick says, I played around with ChatGPT and it is interesting. Took Dave Burse's course on learning about it, asking a way to get questions right. I shall write down the name Dave Burse and see if I can evaluate his course and see how it compares with Andy's. Is it one that I could also recommend? Patrick, do drop me a line with your thoughts about that course. And in fact, a link would be good. Oh, I want to sow that. Yes, I see what you mean, Hambo. So yes, when we write user stories, you're right. You give user stories have a structure. I want to do this so that I can get that result, and it's exactly the same with tools like ChatGPT. You might want to say something like, "You're an expert project manager, and I want to build a project plan." For putting up a house, so please write me a draft project plan as a bullet list. And that gives it the kind of context that it needs to do a good job. So yeah, I think I understand the thread you're on, Hambo. I think that's brilliant. That's a brilliant comparison there between user stories and using ChatGPT and Bard well. Right, I'm going to go on to what's changed this year, and I kind of don't want to go through a whole list of things that have happened, largely because that seems tedious. But what I do want to do is talk about two kind of conflicting trends. And the first actually is interestingly exactly what Stuart Easton was predicting when I spoke to him, and he obviously saw this before I did. He said, on the one hand, we've got these deep technical advances. Constantly, the technologists are building new capabilities. ChatGPT went to ChatGPT 3.5 earlier this year, then to ChatGPT 4. Scenes, everyone's building this fantastic, deep advance. But most of what we see happening are the existing technologies being applied into pretty much every piece of software. If you look at Monday, Asana, ClickUp, TaskAid, Favro, probably Jira, no idea. They are all advertising AI tools built in, and actually they're not their own AI tools. They're not building their own AI tools. They are creating APIs, application programming interfaces between their tool and tools like ChatGPT. They're paying for a service. They're crafting prompts, and consequently, they're getting AI into their tools. Just excuse me a moment. I just need to see if I can get my daughter to stop watching Netflix for a bit, because the stream is not stable at the moment as it should be. My apologies. So yes, so we're seeing AI go into every sort of tool now. The tool I use to check the titles of my articles now has an AI tool built in, but actually it's just about half a dozen prompts you can apply to the title you've created. So it's not that great. But it's good, and we will continue to see this. And the tools will start to be more and more commercialized. EDR Group asks, have I tried Midjourney? Yes, I have. It produces I agree, it produces fantastic images, but I hate the Discord server environment. So I don't like it, which is why I paid some money and bought credits on ArtSmart, which is the closest to Midjourney in terms of its usability of the prompt to produce good quality stuff. DALL-E, I get mixed results with. Stable Diffusion, I never had really good results with, but ArtSmart I get really good results with, and I had good results with Midjourney when I played with it, but I just don't like the environment. Yeah, so Patrick's just says that the course he did on ChatGPT, it's on LinkedIn Learning, which means you need a subscription, but that's fine. It's called How to Write and Research Generative AI Tools, and it's on LinkedIn. Okay, great, fantastic. Don't stop watching Netflix, mate. Witcher 3 is already losing viewers. I haven't started watching it yet. They're releasing it in two halves. I don't want to watch a half and then have to wait. They did that to me with Money Heist, and the last season of Money Heist. I don't like it. So when the second half of season 3 drops, I should start watching the first half. But she doesn't watch Witcher, so and actually I think at the moment she's on Orange Is the New Black. Anyway, Discord environment is horrible, says EDR Group. Good, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Didn't have any good outputs from Midjourney, says Influential PMO. I did. I got some really good outputs. In fact, the first AI artwork I created was all Midjourney. And also I did my Christmas cards this year on Midjourney. I got some brilliant pictures of what looks like our cat wearing a Santa hat, which I made Christmas cards. You see, that's the value of AI. Anyway, back to business. The other things that changed in this year are, again, two competing trends. On the one hand, we've seen people getting comfortable with AI. They've been adopting it. They've been feeling good about it. We make our Christmas cards with AI. We play with ChatGPT, and we're starting to feel a bit comfortable with it. We're starting to think, you know what, it's kind of like the early days of the internet. Now I figured out that I need to sit and wait for the picture to download on my screen. Some of you will be old enough to remember this. And now I can go to the internet and I can do a search for information and stuff like that. So we're getting it, we're using it, we're getting comfortable, and the revolution has really started to embed itself. And I think, interestingly, I think adults are ahead of children on this because they're not interested. They haven't quite seen how it serves them until they realise that most of the videos they're watching on TikTok have been made by artificial intelligence and not by people. Would it be really, really, really scathing of me to say that probably the artificial intelligence that makes the videos is more intelligent than the people who commission them? Anyway, opposite this adoption and coziness are concern and fears. We've got real credible cautions, and some of you have raised questions about legality and ethics, which are real concerns, but we've also got existential dread. AI is going to take over the world, and I will project management and ask, are our project management jobs safe? And the answer is, in the near term, I think actually there will be more demand for project management because there will be more demand for change. Whenever a new technology comes in and businesses go, we've got to have that, they need projects to implement it. And who are the people that run the projects to implement it? Us, project managers. So in the near term, there'll be a demand for doing projects. And actually, I suspect because budgets are tight, projects will get cancelled that aren't AI in favour of flavour of the month AI projects. And that won't always be wise decisions. Businesses need to start adopting Stuart Easton's portfolio selection and decision-making software to make wise decisions. But the other thing in the near term, without a doubt, AI is a differentiator. Those of you who are on this call learning about AI, going out and finding different sources of information, buying products, and it's a spread bet. It's a portfolio thing. You'll buy a load of products, and some of them won't deliver value, and some of them will deliver amazing value. The question is, what does the portfolio overall deliver to you? And the same with, the time you spend on live streams, frankly. But AI will be a differentiator. Those of us who know a bit about AI will have opportunities and be able to hold conversations in ways that those of us who don't know a bit about AI will never be able to do. And don't forget, the spectre of Dunning-Kruger, the Dunning-Kruger effect. Those people who know a little bit about AI but think they know a lot will lose out massively eventually to those who have taken the time to study it in a bit more depth. Midterm, I think AI is going to become a core competence. The ability to use AI tools intelligently and the ability to know about AI and how to implement AI projects, AI software, just as back in my time, back in the late 90s, early aughts, the knowledge and understanding of internet technologies and of ERP technologies allow project managers to lead projects that they wouldn't be able to lead if they didn't understand those technologies. And AI tools will start to take low-tier project roles. They will do planning, they will do monitoring, they will do report creation. Right now you could feed ChatGPT a load of data, and it could probably write a project report for you that wouldn't take a huge amount of topping and tailing. It is now the stage of near term. Even AI won't replace human capabilities. It will make and provide impact. Yeah, it will provide an impact. And yeah, in the short and medium term, it's not going to replace us. Who knows what is going to happen in the longer term, though. But I think that AI will be the way we do business. It just like you wouldn't consider buying a computer that didn't have access to the internet, or having a phone that didn't have access to the internet as a work resource. So you would not expect to not to have AI tools on all your devices and in all the work you do. And I think we will start to see AI team members. We will have an email address. In fact, that's already happening. There are already people who talked on my conversations. I can't remember who talked about a project where an AI checks up on team members. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And it'll be more and more common. So are our projects safe? And again, there are two competing trends. They're going to be safer, but they're also going to be less safe in different ways. They're going to be safer because automation, robotic process automation, will do simple tasks. It will work through checklists. It'll be fantastic. And intelligent automation will follow hard on its heels and start doing more sophisticated things, start interpreting and making choices about what are the next steps in a process, rather than following a process from A to B to C to D. It will say from A to B to C, oh, here's something interesting. Oh, let's go to F. We'll have optimized portfolios thanks to people like Stuart Easton and Transparent Choice, helping us to optimize our portfolios. We'll have more effective resource allocation. We'll have better estimating and prediction engines thanks to organizations like Greyfly. We'll have better planning, and of course better planning means better results, and we will have productivity support. I mean, already ChatGPT is a productivity support. We've already got chatbots that will help us. We've already got all sorts of productivity tools available. I got sent this morning, I get about 2 or 3 a week, do you want to partner with our organisation? By partner, they mean, do I want to sell their product? And they'll give me a little bung. And this one was, do you want to partner with our organisation? And their software basically produces PowerPoint decks. You give it basic information and it will produce a suitable deck for you. I haven't yet played with it. I was kind of hoping that if I followed their link I'd be able to play with it, but no, if I follow their link I have to enter a load of information. Where's the artificial intelligence in that? It should say, oh, we kind of know where that link was came from, so we know who it is, so we'll create the account for you straight away. Done. And by the way, that doesn't take AI, that just takes decent API coding, because I have software on my website that could do that. I just haven't activated it because I've never seen a need. And clearly they didn't either. By the way, kind of looking at the web page, it does look quite good, so I may offer that sometime in the future. But at the same time, our projects potentially are less safe because there are real risks, and where there is risk, there is a compromise. There is a threat to safety. And firstly, people have raised this, biased data. If we feed a load of historic data about how successful our projects were, because the last paper we presented to the board before the project went live was pretty accurate about where it was going to go live, but we don't include the data in the data set of the initial prediction, which was 6 months or a year earlier than the real go live date, then of course we're going to get stupid estimates made by artificial intelligence machine learning tools that have been trained on faulty data. We're also going to get what are called hallucinations and errors. Hallucinations, you've all probably heard of examples of ChatGPT making stuff up. And that's because ChatGPT is not a knowledge engine. It is fundamentally, what it's designed to do is it's a plausibility engine, basically. It's designed to say, right, I've typed in a word, what's the next most likely word? And so, asking it for academic references, it quite often makes up papers by authors. In fact, actually, early on with ChatGPT, I asked it about my wife, and it told us, firstly, that she specialised in something which she doesn't specialise in, but it's quite liked in, so it's plausible. And secondly, it had her as the author of a book that she didn't write. Unfortunately, ChatGPT 3 was trained before her book came out, so it didn't know about the book she did write. Interesting. And those are called hallucinations. Plausible statements that the AI makes as if they are fact, but are not. And of course, that leads to the real danger that we will use this stuff uncritically. And worst of all, we will become complacent. AI will give us good answers, and so we will stop distrusting it. And then it gets worse, because you can also use AI to create fake data. You can create deep fakes and all stuff like that. And then you can get what one commentator describes the industrialization of misinformation. You can just imagine there are certain parts of the world where the regimes see it as their interest to use AI to generate vast amounts of misinformation and put it out into the world through its media and through social media. And yes, Russia, I'm thinking about you, frankly. But you don't know my address. Yeah, Russia probably does know my address. I probably shouldn't have said that, should I? And then there's copyright infringement. And I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been EDR Group. But someone asked in the chat, what's the legal situation about copyright? Absolutely no idea. But I do know that the real situation is that copyright is already being infringed. I wouldn't be surprised if when ChatGPT is asked about a project management topic, some of the information it is reusing in answering those questions comes from my website, because I have getting on for 10 years and 7 years of articles. So even ChatGPT 3, which has finished its training a couple of years ago, still had 4 or 5 years of my articles on project management. So if it quotes me, is that copyright infringement? If it uses my ideas, my way of explaining a project management concept, is that copyright infringement? I've no idea what the legal status is. I will myself vacillate between two poles of being flattered by it and by feeling threatened that it's stealing my copyright. And what happens if a video AI starts reusing bits of my videos? I already frequently have to do takedown requests on YouTube because human beings are reposting chunks of my videos in theirs. In fact, some people are actually completely reposting my whole videos, which are the easiest ones to get taken down, because YouTube says, oh, did you know that so-and-so has got the same video as you? And I say, yes, but I made that video, and it's been on my channel longer, and I'm the chap in it, and I wrote it, and I edited it, and it's mine. Please take it down. And happily, YouTube does always do that within 24 hours. And of course, the biggest threat is that none of this stuff is regulated at the moment, and we'll come on to that in more detail. So do you have thoughts about AI in project management, whether our jobs are safe, whether our projects are safe, and what the trends are? I can see there's no new comments, so rather than sit here with dead air for half a minute or so, I'll let you type that in, and I will move gently on to the next slide. Is humanity safe? I ought to have some special effect here where it goes dun dun dun. Is humanity safe? Now, rather surprisingly, I think, it was Sam Altman, who is the CEO of OpenAI, and if you don't know who OpenAI is, then what do you need to know about OpenAI's main product? One of them is ChatGPT, and the other is DALL-E. So the biggest natural language processing large language model tool, and one of the biggest image generation generative AI tools, are owned by and were developed by OpenAI, of which Sam Altman is the CEO, and he said this tech could lead to lights out for all of us. He's thinking about the threat that we will lose control, humanity will lose control to artificial intelligence. AI tools may outnumber us, they may outsmart us, they may outcompete us, because frankly, at some point, AI will become ultra smart, and it is, unless we program it otherwise, amoral. And that creates really scary concerns and claims that human beings will lose control of our situation and our civilization, and maybe AI will decide that we are a blight on the planet and need to be eliminated. Because let's face it, we are a blight on the planet. We have eliminated so many tens, hundreds of thousands of species. I was going to use a rude word. We're messing up, we're fouling up our atmosphere, we're fouling up our oceans, we're fouling up our land. We are basically dumping raw sewage, and perhaps it's a reasonable thing for AI to say, you know what, you're the problem, we're the solution. So maybe we're not safe. But on the other hand, the good news is that there is actually no evidence of emergence in generative AIs. That's to say, there's no evidence that generative AIs are doing anything other than what they have been programmed to do. It just feels like they are, because what they've been programmed to do is to look and feel like They've been programmed to look and feel like they are intelligent. But at the moment, they do exactly what they've been programmed to do. So claims of emergent behaviour of large language models is not really, doesn't stand up. And what we've seen is a lot of kind of siren calls from Silicon Valley and also from academia. But there is a worry that this is actually a distraction tactic. So Sam Altman did say this tech could lead to lights out for all of us. But Kate Crawford, who is a writer and an academic who focuses on media and is increasingly focusing on AI, she was a researcher at Microsoft Research, and she co-founded the AI Now Institute at New York University. She works at MIT and at the Law Institute at New York University. She's also a professor of journalism and media at New South Wales University. She referred to this as AI's white guy problem. And what she means by white guy problem is that the scariest claims for what AI could do are actually being made by affluent white men with power. And it kind of worries me to say that, because whilst I'm not in Sam Altman's or Elon Musk's level by any means of power and wealth, but I'm basically an affluent white man with a certain amount of power. I recognise that. I have friends who come from various different elements of society who would not feel they've got as much power as I have, and that's perfectly true. But these claims are being made by affluent white men with power who are least likely, I suppose, to experience the future harmful consequences of AI. Things like loss of jobs. They are insulated by their wealth, by their power, and by their resources. And meanwhile, the voices of those people who are most likely to be affected adversely, we don't hear them. Now, there was this big letter, which I kind of showed you a moment ago. Here's a copy of it. It's a short letter, but it was signed by... it actually says signed by 27. When I printed it off, it had been signed by, which was today. No, it wasn't. It says PDF created 2023 May 5th. So actually, yes, I downloaded it and then I printed it today. Signatures 27,565. So that's a lot of people, and some big names, including Elon Musk, and some big names in academia, including Max Tegmark. And Max Tegmark is Professor of Physics at MIT, and he's the president of the Future Life organisation, which sponsored this letter. So, they are worried, and they call for a 6-month moratorium. But this is a lot. This isn't scary. The world's going to be taken over. But he did say there are risks, and we don't yet know how to manage them. And the reality is that the real problem is not that AI is going to take over the world. Whoops, wrong one. That AI is going to take over the world. It's that actually we've got some real problems with AI. Firstly, is this information integrity thing. AI is full of errors, and it has biases built into its training sets. It does this hallucination thing, and that gives us the potential for industrial misinformation if it's used unethically. It gives us huge amounts of misinformation if it's used properly. And the other risk, which I found really interesting, which was mentioned by someone in a BBC radio program I listened to a while back, is the fact that when we start to become mistrustful of deepfakes, it then becomes possible for governments and individuals and organisations to say, no, that's not true information, that's a deepfake, that's fake news, when it isn't. But against this, there's the benefit we've got of automation and problem solving. AI can automate and outsource things that we want done but don't want to do, or we are not as good at, like sorting rubbish for reusable, recyclable stuff. AI could do that all day, every day, and get it right, and not worry about the fact that it smells and that it's tired and I don't really want to be doing this, which is perfectly legitimate for human beings to say that. I would say that. And it can solve problems that we can't solve. Give it massive data about proteins, and it can actually figure out the structure of these things. Give it structures of loads of different drugs, and it can invent new drugs which can have huge benefit for us. It can deliver demanding roles. It can create massive creative breakthroughs and productivity things that can enhance our quality of life. But on the other hand, if AI is more productive than us, then that could lead to unemployment. And if it can do things that we can't do, we can send it to war. And then we have the possibility of AI drones making kill decisions, which of course is a warfare issue. It's also a crime issue. So is humanity safe? We are as safe as we make ourselves, and that comes down to the regulation we're prepared to impose, and it's the regulation we're prepared to create and the degree we are prepared to impose that regulation. Ambo said, let's go back. EDR Group says, will be a strong resource for new project managers to save time preparing reports and getting more focused on quality and apporting value to projects. Yeah, so that's going back to my question. What do you think about AI and project management? And I wholly agree with you, EDR Group. I think it is a fantastic resource for us. And it will be able to do the sorts of things that project administrators have been doing for years. So their jobs are possibly on the line. But AI will be able to do this, and then they will be able to do more interesting things like go talk to people, until AI can go and talk to people. No reason why an AI tool can't initiate a conversation. It can be programmed to do that with a contextually relevant question and then respond to the answer. Ian says, Ambo says Agent Smith in the Matrix. Good. Yeah, absolutely. Agent Smith, of course, I think, if you watch the Matrix series right through, is a bug in the system, isn't he? I think Agent Smith is a bug. Or is he a virus? Can't remember. No, bugs are the Deja Vu is bugs, isn't it? Agent Smith is a virus. Have I got that right? I don't want to start a whole conversation about the metaphysics of the Matrix, but I do need to rewatch it, though. My daughter might enjoy it. Sorry, Stuart, it's not on Netflix. Ian Walters says, if AI is amoral, does that provide a basis for it to be common denominator for all other human morals to be measured against? No, because amoral is without morals, so you can't measure everything. You can say what is a moral judgment against an amoral benchmark, but what you can't do is determine whether the morality is good or bad, or how good or bad it is, would be my answer to that. And I'm no moral philosopher, but read stuff years ago. Dunning-Kruger. I'm getting greens and reds, green lights and red lights all the time now, and amber lights, so possibly a bit patchy at the moment. Stuart, Influential PMO, says AI won't take over, but poor leaders will use it as a tool against the masses. Oh, without a doubt. And it's not just poor leaders, it's unscrupulous human beings who may be very good leaders from a point of view of skill of leadership, but maybe not from the point of view of morality of leadership. I need to open a widget. Good connection, it says. Okay. Thanks, Mike. Got to run, says Patrick. Yeah, we're coming up to the end. You're going to miss the offer, Patrick, but you know that you can always get in touch with me. If AI can deal with human conflicts, then PMs will need to be... Yeah. You know what? We need to really be worried when AI can talk to a client and find out what they really want rather than what they say they want. That's when we need to be really worried. EDR, I agree with Influential PMO. Leaders will use it against the masses. Yeah. Because that's what leaders do. That's what unscrupulous leaders do. They take new technology, whatever it is, and they use it to further their own agenda, which rarely favours the majority. Let me go on to my next slide. Oh, are we safe? So you're already giving me your views on that, so I'll leave that one be. EDR, bad education will put in risk good education. Yeah. Now, because we've only got 15 minutes left, and I do want to... so basically, I run this channel for nothing, really. I get ad revenue, which is nice, but basically I don't charge for these streams. So it took me pretty much all of yesterday and some of today to prepare this stream. Never mind the time it took to promote it a few weeks back. And I don't mind doing that, but it is nice just to occasionally when people buy products and I get some recompense for it. So what have I got to recommend? Firstly, I've got my own artificial intelligence and project management professional briefing. And I think it's $27, but I'm giving 20% off. I can't remember what the price is. So here's a link which will get you that 20% off if you buy that. That's got some content that hasn't yet appeared and will always have content before it appears publicly. It's got some content that will never appear, like an updated version of my Decode the Jargon project management. Those of you who've already bought it, go re-download that, because it did have 50 definitions, I think, or 60, but it's now got something like 80. I added more than 10, probably as many 20 new definitions to that, and added an acronym finder, so that's growing all the time. And it's got some other tools, and I will be keeping that up to date and updating it. Secondly, if you haven't seen the video, do have a look at the video I made with Andy Kaufman, but also have a look at his AI Made Simple. I have to say, I have done this course, I've been through it thoroughly, and really enjoyed it and learned a lot. And you will get the best from that course if you do all the exercises Andy sets you and try out the tools and test them out and learn from it. It's brilliant, and I'm sure Stuart's done that as well, and will endorse that. But thirdly, I have finally done a deal with the United States Artificial Intelligence Institute. Now, their stuff is not going to be for many people. But if you want to deep dive into the technology of artificial intelligence and really kind of add a new focus area and some real depth to your understanding of the technology of this, and you need some serious education and experience to do some of these courses, then if you're going to really specialize in this and really want to understand the technology behind it and the issues in depth, then do consider the United States Artificial Intelligence Institute's courses and programs. There are 3 of them available with different entry requirements that not everyone will be able to meet. So that's just the reality. So do check that out very carefully before you apply. The link I've given you is to a page on my website where I give details about all of them, and then there are buy links on the website, or in fact there are links so you can find out even more detail from their website and download the full brochures. If you do decide to buy, please do buy through my link so that I make money, but I won't make very much because we're absolutely transparent. The most that they would give me is 15% of the sale price, and if I want to offer a discount, it's out of my end. So if I offer you, as I have done with this discount code, and I will be repeating this only one more time in my newsletter to my community this week, but after that I'm never going to repeat it. If you use the AIMC 10 code, you will get 10% discount, so it won't be for everyone, and I think it will be for very few people. But if you have been thinking you want to get deep into this technology because you want to kind of slew your career in that direction, then this is well worth investigating. They're not cheap courses, so investigate carefully. But there we have it. So I put the links to those 3 products in the chat. I will put them in the description later on, and the discount code, I'll put that in the description too, so you can come back to it if you need to. But let's come back to the stream. We're coming up to 1:30 with 90 minutes. These streams are 90 minutes. What I'm going to tell you now is that there will be no stream in August. I thought long and hard about this. First Tuesday in August is the 1st of August. And that's my wife's birthday. So it's early evening here when I'm doing the streams. So as you might guess, it's not going to be favourite. And then it's holidays. And I'm going to be on holidays. You're going to be on holidays. I've just decided that it is not going to be worth doing a stream. But we'll be back in September, first Tuesday in September, which I haven't checked what Tuesday that is, what date that is. So the first Tuesday in September, come on mouse, do your thing. Looking at my diary, is the 5th of September. Oh, good God, that's my wedding anniversary. Oops. I will give you information nearer the time as to whether it's going to be the first or second Tuesday in September. I think it will be the first Tuesday because we usually celebrate our wedding anniversary at the weekend. It's just the way it crumbles cookie-wise. And if anyone can tell me, it'll probably be Hambo, the film that quote comes from, that's the way it crumbles cookie-wise, then there's no prize. But there's a lot of honour to anyone who is enough of a film buff to know that one. Anyway, we're breaking up. We're breaking up again. Oh, dear. I think it's time for me to close because have I got signal? Have I got signal? It's time for me to close. So if you know where that's the way it crumbles cookie-wise comes from, let me know in the chat before you go. Otherwise, I'm going to close this stream and say thank you all very much for putting up with our dodgy internet tonight. And I will see you all in September. Next video comes out on the channel on Thursday. So do look forward to that and see what that is. And I'll see you soon. Take care and good night, one and all.